like just as a listener and you talking about this, it seems wild, and I'd like you to tap into this. $600 for a season's pass. You guys are in Sault Ste. Marie. You get pile of snow. You
Let
have
me
hundred
rephrase.
thousand dollars
675, and it's probably gonna be 700 this year. But yeah, it's a little bit more than that.
between $600 and $1,000.
Yeah.
You
There
have
we
a
go.
hundred thousand dollar. You have $100,000 tractors. You have operator salaries. You have all this marketing that we've just tapped into and talked
Yep.
about extensively. How the hell do you make money doing it?
Well, I'll sum it up very, very simple for everybody because I could explain a lot, but you need to scale. You have to scale. That's how you make money in this business model. I'll keep it short, sweet, and simple because I could explain a lot of other things, but you'll kind of learn and get the fruit from your labor as you get into this business. But you need to scale. You need density. You need house after house after house after house. And that doesn't mean coming into the marketplace and charging a dirt cheap price and taking over. Because if you try and do that, you know where you're going to fail? You're going to fail in your service. That's the problem. That's what a lot of people do. That's why this business model in Montreal is so popular, but yet such a failed business. It's like such a failed business in Montreal because it's became a commodity out there. Nobody's working on improving their service to be a more valuable company and stick out from the rest. They're all competing on price. So you know what happens is one new guy starts up and then he flops in 2 years. Another new guy starts up and then he flops in 2 years because all these guys are trying to come in the marketplace and do the same thing that I'm doing, but say, hey, we could charge $500 and undercut them by $100. Well, man, I'll tell you, you'll want that $100 if you want to keep customers happy and improve your service, right? So that's how companies go belly up a lot, is because they try and come in this business and focus on undercutting, and that will get you the scale, which makes this company profitable, but then you'll lack service. So I'll give you perspective. Say, for example, I'm a new company coming out and I come into the marketplace. Call me Snow Pro. Okay. That's my name. I see Northern Snow. Wow. That company's on fire. I come in and I charge $100 less per driveway from Northern Snow and try and match their same service. I try and provide as much value as them. I try and be as quick as them. I try and do everything just like them. I promise you, you will fall short and go bankrupt after 1 year. It's just not possible. If you want to come into the marketplace now where we're at and come compete, you're going to have a very hard time because we poured so much money into building a service that's really different from everybody else's. Yeah, I mean, I know you asked me I'm very passionate about this, sorry, but I know you just asked me a simple question. But it's funny. It's funny, man, because I know it keeps happening. We watched it happen with a company last year. A brand new guy started up. He grabbed the pickets. He tried to do exactly what we did. He undercut us by $250, took like 400 customers from us. And then 3 snow events in, went completely bankrupt, made a bunch of articles in our newsletter and Sioux Today. And I know other people are going to just try and keep doing that. And I recommend for anybody watching from my hometown, or if you're going into a new marketplace, do not enter this residential snow business model and try to think that you're going to come in and undercut and then just magically get all the customers. You might for a year, but then watch how quick they go back to the better service.
That's CSRs. Those CSRs are not free. The software is not free, and the best, it's not free. And that's
no, man.
To recap what you're just saying is in my...
Thank you for summarizing it, because that's true. The customer service reps are not free. If you want a beautiful location, it's not free. If you want good apparel for your guys to look presentable, it's not free. If you want nice looking equipment, it's not free. You know, if you want a nice brand, it ain't free. If you want to provide value for your customers, it ain't free. If you want to enhance your customer experience, it ain't free. So, like, we put a lot of time and money into these things to be the best. And if we were just competing on price, man, my company, like, I don't even know what it would be. Like, I don't even know what it would be if we just came in to compete on price. We never even looked at the price. We just came in, said, this is what we think's fair, and just grew it from there. And it's worked really well.
So let's talk systems. And you know, if you're trying to keep this on the low or not, whatever, but say what you feel comfortable with, and like 5 key points I would like out of this when building reputable, scalable businesses, with keeping a franchise model in mind, a copy and paste model with these recurring services we see often. And what are your 5 things that you're really focusing on, from systems, from processes, from culture, if you don't mind tapping into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to give away all my nuggets, but I'll definitely say like the core things that I think everybody should focus on within their business. But I'm going to be particular to my niche. You got to definitely streamline the training and operating procedure. So making sure that training is very, very simple. Don't overload the guys. You got to remember that these guys have hearts and they're humans. I love them to death, but they're definitely lower on the employment level, if you know what I mean. So sadly, you got to make things like as simple as possible. Like, don't try and frustrate it. Don't try and overwhelm them. Really streamline your training procedure and make sure that the equipment is easy to use. Okay. Now that's going to bring me into number 2. So that's number 1. Training, operators, make sure things are streamlined on both those fronts. Make it as simple as possible. Simple, 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 simple. So I could say we have it in our slogan, snowblowing simplified. Dumb those 2 down. Now I'm going to go into number 2, and that's the equipment. Okay. Very, very, very important that you run all the same equipment. You don't want all these different models. Learn from my mistake. I'm going through it right now. I have 5 different model tractors. And yes, it just looks like, hey, you got Kubota and John Deere. How's that 5 different tractors? Well, there's 5 different models. I got 6110M, I got 4066Rs, I got Kubota L6060s, I got M5 111s. So I guess that's only 4, but I did have some other ones that were sold. And what I'm trying to do is really streamline the process of operators learning how to use these machines and getting from one machine into another. So a common problem that we face, not only from the shop perspective, but out in the field, is we'll teach a guy how to use a John Deere 4066R. His John Deere 4066R will be broken down. He'll have to hop in a backup Kubota L6060, and the controls are just completely different, which he goes out in the field. He's way less efficient than he was in his machine. And then on top of that, he's not comfortable in it. He ends up damaging something. So that happened a lot this year, where a guy would hop in, one model machine, go into another, and then damage something because he wasn't comfortable with it yet. He didn't know his surroundings. He just didn't have a feel for it. So huge bottleneck in the business. If you guys want to run an efficient system from an equipment standpoint, make sure you have one big tractor, one small tractor, choose your models, and that's it. You go buy all these different machines, all these different blowers, you are going to have endless headaches and pour a bunch of money down the drain for no reason. So take that. That's literally like, if you're at this scale, that's like a $1 million lesson right there. 100% $1 million lesson, because I'm going through pain right now and hell and money rinsed down the drain, trying to have my equipment be the exact same across the board. Number 3, systems. I don't know how much I would call this a system, but having just like a bulletproof office, I think is very, very powerful in this business. You're in a customer service based business that has very intense and high demand for support. And there's no real time on your side. So you need an army in the field and you need an army inside the office. And I don't think anybody should shy away from that. Rule of thumb for me, if we want to kind of, say a little bit as a system, make sure you are using software as much as you can. Software for the business, for operations, software for organization, software for support and ticketing systems, software, we're in 2024. It'll help you big time within your company. Try and use some AI generated stuff if you can as well. Now I'm being a bit biased because we do use it, but not as much as I'd like. I think it's going to become more popular in our company, but number 3 would be that aspect of the business for sure. Big time. Just making sure that you have one customer service rep per 1,000 customers. Even if you had 1,000 customers, I'd have 2 because you're small at that point. But like where we are now, we have basically 3 customer service reps for 3,300, and our support and communication, like the survey responses was ridiculous. Like we murdered that end of the business this year, like murdered. But yeah, just that one's big, dumbing that one down. Another system to kind of make this like remodelable or franchisable. Is that what you're pretty much trying to really get at, eh? So a fourth would be, I mean, there's so many. Oh my gosh, there's so many. The equipment's so important. The operators is important. I could dive deep into some cool things we're doing, but they're kind of secrets. Fourth. I mean, I think it's really just, and you could say that it's a system or maybe it's not, but just really dialing in your marketing and your approach to your offer, I think is really, really big. Because if you want to go into another city and kind of rinse and repeat, if you will, you're going to need to really make sure that's all aligned and test what you've done somewhere else that's been successful and do it there the same way. So if you're starting off in one place before you go to the next, like you got to make sure your offer is bulletproof. And I would say ours is bulletproof, but like it's never good enough for me. So I'm still continuing to rebuild it. But I could confidently say that from a branding and marketing perspective, once you got that dialed in, and you've seen good return from customer acquisitions through your branding and marketing, I would say that you're ready and you have a decent system in place to be able to scale to a new location. Fifth,
four, five. I'll stop you there with like how are you measuring that? Like we can say a system is great, but like what does that mean? What metrics can be put behind that stuff? For us to measure whether it's marketing or customer acquisition costs. Like how are we able to measure and then also improve that?
You know, a lot of it's been shooting from the hip from me, like being strategic as possible, knowing what I knew at that time. But like, I'd be ignorant to say that I know the answer to that. So for me, honestly, it was just spending X amount of money and getting a return back in customers, right? So like measuring it was difficult for me. Moving forward, I'll measure it. If that's what you're asking, like now I'm going to be able to measure it. So I'll be able to be a lot more strategic with it. You know, be able to definitely save a lot of money and kind of, you know, take down the plane with one bullet instead of a whole clip, if you know what I mean.
Well, and that's what I want to get at because I see it way too often, just throwing money out the door, and it's wasting money on marketing is so easy if you don't know what's working. And I'm just as bad and guilty for that.
You can do that really easily.
Why I'm asking, like how
we did that
the
for
importance
roofing.
of figuring out what works.
100%. And I'm going to answer that because that happened to us in roofing. Like we spent so much money on marketing, and I was like, I had my offer dialed really in, but that company just like I overspent on marketing and it felt impossible to get customers. And that was definitely partially, you know, something from our end. I'll definitely take accountability for it. We could still be doing it and still going with it successfully, but like the starving crowd wasn't there like the snow. So what I'm trying to boil this down to is it comes down to the market that you choose. It really, really does, because you go out there and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing for a business like roofing, and the return you're going to get might not be the same as doing residential snow. I know in my market, in this city, that those two businesses have a way higher demand than one another, right? So what's that mean? I'm going to bring in more money. I'm going to bring in more customers if there's more of a demand. It's black and white. It's super simple. So that's why we were way more successful with snow than anything else, especially landscaping. Like, man, I see you out there doing these beautiful projects. Like, that doesn't really happen here. That's like, there's a very, very small niche for that. We're a lower economy. Like, landscaping's not a thing here. I come down south where you are in Oakville. You guys got concrete jungles in the front and the backyard. People don't do that here. So I knew right away that that was a business that didn't really do too well. And with roofing as well, it was the same thing, just overspending on marketing and not getting the customers I desired. So if you want to have your business be successful, choose the right fucking market. You have to choose the right market. And then you can niche it down from there, like I said. So like landscaping's vague. Like there's so many components of landscaping, but you could chunk it down to being just like I don't know, an expert at asphalt sealing. Like you could just be known for doing that and having an incredible, valuable offer that is different than anybody else's, and go into the marketplace and absolutely smash it. But you got to make sure the demand's there, and you got to make sure it's a growing business as well. So you gotta check these boxes off, man. You have to check these boxes off if you want to build a very successful business that will make big money. This is what I believe in. This is what I believe in.
So for the folks listening, dial in your market, or dial in.
Choose your market. Choose your market
and
choose it.
And then figure out the offer. Correct?
Yes, sir. Number 2 is the offer. No, hold on. Market first. Offer number 2. Okay, dial in your offer for the market. Pick your niche within that market, because like I said, markets are vague. Snow removal is vague. You see how I niched down right to snow blowing residential? I could have went the avenue of snow hauling. I could have went the avenue of sanding. I could have went the avenue of doing everything. I niched it down to one thing and became really good at it and figured out how to make it as valuable as possible because I was able to focus on one thing and beat it to a pulp. You know what I'm saying? And then make sure it's a growing market. That was number 3. And make sure people have the price point to afford what you're offering as a service. So that's the 4 components right there. Market, offer, niche, growing, and if you want to add the 5th, make sure it's affordable.
Awesome. Okay, we got down a rabbit hole of marketing.
Yeah, I'm the rabbit hole king.
I love it.
Rabbit hole king over here. I just like to spend. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so I'd like to touch on, Stefano, the business partnership. Like, what are a few lessons you've been able to learn from that? With you and Nick growing this successful empire, learning all these hard lessons along the way, getting along with each other, and how have you guys been able to navigate that? Like, what are a few key lessons we're able to take away from this?
This one's really important to me for sure, because me and my partner Nick, like, we're not just like partners, we're like straight up brothers. Lots of loyalty, lots of respect. You know, we have a little bit of our own brotherhood going on, a lot of the same morals. So we're very much the same people in that regard, but our skills and ability need to be different. So for partnerships, like, you don't just like find a friend that you went to high school with and be like, let's start a business together, buddy. Like, that's like the last thing you want to do. You want to make sure that one partner has different skill set than the other and provides value in a different way. And I think if you guys could get along, you could build any great partnership that way, but you got to stay in your own lane. The moment one partner tries to do the other partner's job or vice versa, it's just like, it starts not making sense. It confuses the people underneath, right? So your managers and then your employees, like, if they get orders from me and then Nick comes along and gives orders as well, it just like, it starts causing a bunch of confusion. You know what I mean? Things like that. So if you're going to have a partnership role in a business, everybody's got to know their roles and responsibilities, and they got to stick to that. I think when picking a partner, you got to look at 3 things, in my opinion. Does this partner have more time than I do? Like, do they have different time than I do? Does this partner have money that I don't have? Okay. And then number 3, does this partner have skills that I don't have? It could be one of the 3, and that's how you could choose the right partner, or it could be all 3, or it could be 2 of the 3. It doesn't matter. But I really think that those are the 3 things that you should look for in a partner: time, money, skills. So that's my personal opinion. Yeah.
It's awesome. And you highlighted this, and I'm glad you did, like, really being able to find individuals that complement each other, right? And making that clear throughout the whole organization, because if, people are going to you about the same issues they're going to Nick about, then that's going to be an issue and be a whole fuck around, right?
Oh, I
So with
snowballs.
our organization as well, like not a partner, but just our operations manager is we're so black and white and we work together. Like he's, defense, make sure everything's efficient and runs good. But also the guy who's super, needs to get shit done. And then I'm oftentimes a little bit too nice and always in the offense mode, pushing things forward, too optimistic many times. And having that complement each other is I can't stress that enough. And if you're just getting a buddy to go into business with, it's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. That's ultimately how you set yourself up for failure. Just do that. Go find a friend. Be completely alike, be completely the same person, and go into business together. Provide the same amount of money, same amount of value, same amount of skills, and go and start a business and watch how well it goes. I'm joking. Don't do that.
So to recap, the time, we'll compare if you're going into business with someone, their time, the money, and the skills, all of those three things. Okay, so I'd like to speak on how you value your team, your culture, but also the importance of delegating with growing organizations. When you're just starting out a one-man show, it's easy to do your whole runaround and you think you can do everything. You're a superhero CEO, right?
Yep.
But it's so important scaling, being able to let go in a controlled fashion and delegate.
Yeah, absolutely. Delegating, I could say when you are delegating tasks, you got to make sure you could delegate it to the right person, because that could be a bottleneck within your company as well. So in my position currently right now, being the CEO of Northern Snow and Northern Lawns, my responsibility and focus is always more towards, kind of like pushing the vision for the company, like seeing where we're going and then being able to deliver getting there from an investment standpoint, marketing standpoint, office standpoint, all the above, backed up by connections and just a whole other world of different things to be able to accomplish those goals. But the biggest thing is being in the position is I find myself spread thin a lot, doing a lot of different things. So I try to bring my core focus back to the bigger picture, which is getting to where we want to go. So I try to be a delegating machine as much as I can for the right tasks. But then there's certain things that I'm like, I need to do this because it needs to be a certain way. And I know that nobody's going to work as hard as I'm going to work on it. So I can't delegate everything, but there is a lot of things that I try to delegate down to our managers. Me and Nick have a good partnership as well. So he's able to take a good workload off my plate as well and take care of the whole financial and administrative aspect of the business, which is amazing. So I really just always am thinking about where we're going and fulfilling that gap of where we are now and how we're going to get there. And that gets boiled down to, like I said, just improving service, investing, connections, innovating every aspect possible to be able to achieve those things. Keeping the whole company on board with the vision is big. Like, your team's got to have confidence in you. You know what I mean? Like they do. Like they got to look at Stefano and be like, and I trust that motherfucker. He's gonna get us there. So I'm always like,
go up every time.
Yes, exactly. So sheer confidence and just make sure that you're serious. I think that you should be serious being a CEO for sure. But also not lenient is the word I'm looking for. You got to be a little bit realistic, because you got to understand humans, and humans are not robots and they're not going to be perfect. And if you're trying to be too black and white sometimes, you'll leave a sour taste in people's mouth, and then they'll start to begin to kind of disrespect you or not really appreciate you. And it kind of gets a little bit rough. So I'll know right away. I'm really good at reading energy. One of my guys is off. They start treating me different. They're not being how they usually are with me. I know that I possibly left a sour taste in their mouth, or there's something they want to talk about or they're upset about, and I'll just confront them until I get it out of them. Like I have to.
It's a very transparent line of being like chop and straight to business.
You gotta balance
also it. Like, being a good person to them, someone they look up to, but also can there's a time and place for everything, and the joking around is a side that needs to come out, but
Yeah. Oh yeah.
balancing that out is super important.
There's a time and a place. Absolutely. I think you got to really understand humans as well. Like if you're really good with your emotional intelligence and you could really read people well, that's a good characteristic trait to have as a CEO, or any sort of manager. Anybody who's providing leadership really needs to have that skill set, because you kind of got to like be able to adapt yourself to the environment at that time, and be different in every situation based on the energy. Because like sometimes like people can't control their emotions, and I could get people to really calm down or be happy or chuckle or really work hard at something because I know how to approach them. I approach them with the right energy, the right characteristics, the right traits, and the right emotion. Okay. And I see really easily how I could get people to act and do certain things for me. So it's persuasion to a certain extent. And then I'm not going to say you should ever manipulate anybody, but there comes a certain time where you need to be able to have that skill set to have people do what you need them to do for you. And leadership is a big thing. So people got to have respect for you. But that comes with like, if I was always serious all the time, I would never have anybody listen to me, I don't think. If I was really cutthroat and rude and arrogant, like nobody would respect me. Nobody would go the extra mile for me. Nobody'd bend over for the company. Nobody'd be able to see the vision. It's like I'm able to adapt.
There'd be no value in when you when you get red hot or when you are serious, right?
Yeah.
If you're serious and chop all the time, then they're gonna be like, oh, this is just Stefano again, right?
Yeah, so I'm very much different in every situation depending on how the energy is in the room. Sometimes I need to take control of it and bring it to a different area. If things are really negative, I'm like, okay, we got to bring this to a positive aspect. If it's like everybody's in a joking state and we need to focus, okay, I'll dial it in that way. But it's your approach where you will get the success for men to do what you need them to do for you. If you want people to listen to you, it's your approach. Okay, you got to have the right energy coming forward. And you'll get anybody to do anything for you.
How to win friends and influence people, Buck, eh?
Yeah, I've actually never read that book. I mean, this is just
really
natural. Like just for me, like
wired into you.
Yeah, wired into me, and I love people, and I think not everybody loves me, but a lot of people do like me, and I could have a lot of open conversations with people, and people feel comfortable with me. I really do think that's just a normal skill I was born with, right?
So we've talked about some of more like the industry specific issues, I guess, or hard knocks, good lessons that needed to happen over the last few years, and especially 2 seasons ago. What are some more of the business side of things that you were able to take away from this past season, but also 2 seasons ago? I know that was probably a massive turning point, a learning opportunity for you guys.
You want to ask me my biggest lesson learned?
Lessons and hard knocks that you're able to take away from, I know the snow business, it's a gladiator sport.
Oh, it's gladiator for sure. Number one for me was the biggest lesson I've ever learned in this business was definitely I don't want to say going too big too quick because that's not even the truth, but I want to say that not paying enough attention to the investments I was making from an operational standpoint. And the thing was, I was very inexperienced, but I think I could have done some more diligent research. And, I think that I could blame a lot of circumstances. Like, I bought all my John Deeres during COVID because there was nothing left. And that was the actual truth of why I ended up going to all John Deeres. But at the same time, it's something that burns a hole in my stomach because I committed to buying a bunch of equipment that fit our business model, but wasn't the right equipment when I had the right equipment right at my fingertips the whole time. So I started my fleet with Kubota, moved to all John Deere, bought a bunch of slightly used crap at inflated prices at high interest rates because that's all I could get my hands on. and then ended up going just back to Kubota. So that was like biggest mistake I've ever made in business. That costed me like, I can't even quantify the number because it's disgusting amounts. You can't even add it up. Like, it's not possible. From like damages from guys hopping out of machines, parts, getting out of the equipment now, the interest rates that everything was bought in at, how much repairs I've had to do to a lot of them. Just, it's not quantifiable, but it was the biggest mistake I've ever made. And the hardest lesson I've learned in this company was that side of the business, investing into the wrong equipment.
What's the importance to you of mentors?
I don't have a mentor. I have a lot of people that I've been in good communication with, and I need to shout some people out because I definitely owe them their respect right now. But for this business model, if there's somebody who has definitely helped me out a lot, his name is Glenn Hilliker. Shout out Glenn, love you to death, man. I've never even met him in my whole life, but we've talked a bunch from my journey. He was the first guy I talked to from the business model, and he answered a lot of my questions and helped me in some very dark times. Another guy lately who's been helping me with a few questions, concerns, and innovating solutions, and really got my wheel turning is Jim McKenzie. His daughter Sarah McKenzie, her husband Dimitri. There's tons of people in this business that I definitely communicate with, but if I had to choose, like, some mentors who I look up to, it's like Glenn, Jim, Sarah, Dimitri as well, being involved with them. But I really don't have a mentor. Like, there's nobody that like I call to help me out and coach me and stuff like that to keep growing this business. I have a lot of people now asking me questions, and I don't have a full grip on this business. I can't say that confidently, but I definitely understand it really well. I know how to scale it. I definitely know how to pick the right equipment. I know how to deal with the employees. Like, there's a lot of things I've learned in this business, but mentors, like, no, I'd love a mentor. I wish there was a whale with like 20,000 driveways from the other side of the world, or other side of Canada, if you will, that like I could do calls with, and he could teach me things about this business, because everything, to answer you, has been the world and school of hard knocks. Everything. I've had to spend stupid amounts of money to learn really simple lessons that I could have just learned from somebody else. That hurt me. Okay. Lots of it hurt me. And this goes, I'm going to say this because it's really important. Don't look at what another business is doing and try and copy them. Okay. Sometimes it'll work, but most times it won't. You need to go through your own world of hard knocks and lessons, and really experience stuff within your own company and mold it the way you want it to be. Make it your own. Okay. So there's a lot of people in this industry, they don't like Kubota. They think Kubota's junk and they run all John Deere. Well, I'm different. I want to run all Kubota. Some people run different blowers. I want to run my own. So I looked at what a lot of other people did too. I tried to piggyback what they did. That was another reason I got into the John Deeres. And it's just because it works in their marketplace doesn't mean it's going to work in yours, or in their business and in yours. So just be authentic, be your own person, do your thing, see what works for you, test, try, repeat, fail. But if I could say one thing, if you could have a mentor and he's making good money and he has a successful business, fuck it. Why not? Copy and paste. I never had that. So I had to build everything from the ground up with very little understanding of this business model, and talking to guys from a whole different marketplace, like they're on the other side of Ontario, other side of Canada, and it's just a whole different world, whole different playing field, whole different league. So a lot of things they do there are different from what I do here. And I had to go through the school of hard knocks, baby. Spend a lot of money, learn a lot of lessons.
Well, that's why we're doing this stuff now, right? Like, we're putting this out there for people who do want to learn this, who can maybe make their school of hard knocks slightly more simple or less challenged than ours, right? And but also learning to thrive and go towards that. Like, we know it's going to suck, but we're going to push through, and what's on the other side of it is so worth it. And another thing I want to highlight of yours that I felt was super important was picking different things from different people, and I'm sure you don't call them mentors, but people that you look up to, and there's probably something that you pick and take from everyone and make it your own, and what works for you and in your unique market. So I think
Mhm.
that's important to highlight, whether it's snow or not, is important in any business. Um,
Absolutely.
Now, I've before we wrap this up, I've whether we keep this in or not, I want to ask a few like more personal questions, and I think it'd be good for people to hear. And if it doesn't work out, whatever. But in Oakville here, we talked about having our like this me personally having your offer dialed in a market that works. We got our market is high end like residential people in Oakville, but when we get 4 inches of snow, 6 inches maybe this year,
Mhm.
um, what do you have to say to serving clients like that in a industry that is so dependent on the scale, right? Like scaling a business where the hungry crowd is not there is what I really struggled with. And I find I'm the opposite of you of really trying to figure out what works for us in the winter. And you found that really early on, but we're a bit more still figuring out for the summer. But I'm completely lost in the winter. Commercial snow, residential, this and that. Like
That's
I
how I
love your
feel.
thoughts on that.
That's how I feel in the summer. I'm not completely lost. I have a good grip now, but like scaling it, like the snow business is, I know it's not going to be the same. I'm more sticking to this lawn company because it's such an easy cross sell over for our customers. They stay under one company for all their like residential property needs, and that's why I'm doing it. But like, it doesn't have the starving crowd that the snow does. So the thing is, you could have your offer dialed in, you could provide tremendous amounts of value, but like you missed the first step. And the first step is having the starving crowd, picking the right market and having a growing market or a growing niche of a crowd of people that really, really have a demand for something. So snow is huge demand here. Residential snow is massive. Like
You
the amount of
guys did
snow
it
we
what
get.
40 times 2 years ago or something crazy?
Yeah. 2 years ago, I went up 42 times. Year before that was like in the 30s. Last year was in the 30s, and then this year was the lightest year Sault Ste. Marie's like ever experienced from as far as everybody I've talked to, people that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s. This is the lightest year anybody's ever seen. We only went out 22 times this year, and then a lot of them were unnecessary, like they were under our 5 centimeter trigger. But I don't know how the landscape is out there in Oakville. I know that it's a high economy, so people got money. So selling them the service will be easy. You check that box off. That's one of the boxes to check. Picking the right market, snow, there's a market for snow there, so that's the right box. Niching it down to residential snowblowing, checked off another box. Now being able to crank up the heat and scaling it is possible, but there's some things that I would need to learn about the marketplace to answer that question correctly for you. I'm guessing people want a lower snow trigger, so you'd be more successful going out for 1 inch as opposed to 5 centimeters. That's something I do in your marketplace, especially with people that have a bit more money and being in an economy and part of Ontario that snows a little bit less. Um, the starving crowd's not there so much because you guys don't get a lot of snow. So you got to provide value in different ways, going out for less snow, right? So customers get their money's worth. You might have to do things like salting or ice melting for residential homeowners, for them to experience some value in that regard. That could be under a contract price or an upsale. It could be something completely different, however you want to make it. I think you probably need to provide shoveling as well. Like I know Oakville slightly. I've been there twice. Absolutely gorgeous place. The economy's through the roof there. It's all high end, rich, not rich people, I should say, but very, very, very like, well off people. And I think there's certain standards there, as opposed to here, like we have all gravel driveways, we get tons of snow and people just want the job done. Um, with,
Get out of that
with,
driveway.
yeah, with value, of course, but like it is such a need here. It's like if you don't have a snow blowing service and you don't have a snowblower, really good snowblower, you ain't getting out of your fucking driveway. Where I know that doesn't really happen in Oakville too often. So you got to look to provide value in different ways for it to be able to start becoming a very demand service, if you will. So I think how you could break through with that in your marketplace without ever even, being there to experience a winter. I think you should lower your trigger. So go out for an inch. If you're doing 5 centimeters, get the fuck away from that. Because if I'm doing 5 centimeters where I live, you sure as hell shouldn't be. So boil it down to 2.5 centimeters, 1 inch trigger. See how much of a demand shoveling is. Shoveling is like a 10% out of our 100% demand. So we decided to get rid of it. Might bring it back. Don't want to say that we'll get rid of it forever, but we'll see. So shoveling might be something that you might need to provide as a service because customers are looking for that. And then the only other thing I could see is the de-icing or salting or sanding. So all like these things wouldn't work in my marketplace. I'd have to charge a hell of a lot more money, and it's not what people are looking for. So when I niche down to residential snow blowing in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, I look for what people want. You know what people want? They want their driveway done more than once in 24 hours. So they want you to come once, and then you probably got to come again in 8 hours on a big snowfall because the driveway's filled right back up. They want you to come back when the plow goes by to scrape the streets. Sometimes when they go to grate the streets as well, and they leave all this ice at the end of your driveway because we get a lot of hard pack here because of the snow accumulation. So they look for value in different ways, where I think your marketplace would look for value in just like having a wipe ass service, if you know what I mean. Like literally, like my driveway, I could see the
Black
pavers. Yeah, they want to see the pavers all year long, and that's not possible where we live, but it's possible where you live. So I think that, yeah, man, 1 inch trigger, maybe some salting or de-icing. I think de-icing is really cool. If you look more into that, there's a lot of guys down in Montreal and really, really nice cities, if you will, that have like these pieces of equipment that attach on the back of the blower, and they spray ice as they're exiting not spray ice. They spray ice removal, like the spray out of the back of the blower while they're dragging out with the inverted. So they're doing two things at once. They're blowing the snow from the driveway, and they're also leaving that fluid to de-ice the driveway after they've exited. So things like that, I think, would do really well in your marketplace. Like if I was in Oakville, that's what I would do. I do 1 inch trigger. I'm just guessing. I don't know how much of a demand it is for ice melt, but I'm assuming it's huge because people are really picky there. I do ice melt, and then I'm guessing shoveling would be another big one. So everybody in Oakville,
non-negotiable.
See, there you go, right? So I wouldn't even make it like you could get shoveling service or you can't. Like I'd probably just boil it down to, sure, you could have different packages or just offering one complete solution. I take care of your driveway. It's done with a snowblower, not a plow, so you could expect hardly any damages. You're gonna not want to run stainless steel where you are because I've seen the driveways out there. They're way too nice to put a stainless steel blade on.
At the same time, a rubber cutting edge isn't getting the scrape that they're wanting.
Yeah, it is what it is, dude. I don't know how much you want to sacrifice scratching one of those driveways. So you could run stainless steel. Don't get me wrong, you could. Man, we have some gorgeous driveways here. 3,300 customers. We scratched 2 this year. 2. With the rubber, I scratched like 15, 20, and I spent way more money. So you can still run with the stainless steel. Just make sure you soften your blades up. I got some videos on YouTube about that. Make sure you dull them down a bit so they're not as aggressive on the interlock. But you could also go like a poly or a Teflon or something like that. That wouldn't be too bad either. But the thing is the scrape's not going to be the same. But you are pouring the ice melt, which helps. But yeah, ice melt, shoveling, and going for a lower trigger, man. I think those are what's really gonna blow it up for you down there.
So like we found our routes, like, and I know you guys, your tractors are probably working 95% of the time, like in driveways. Our tractors were driving 55% of their night, like just driving because our routes aren't dense. And
yeah,
we only service 200 driveways. So, and you're saying just really push the value, sticking to the model, say, like make it known the value to build that density. Is that where you're?
Yeah, no, I just really think that, I think that you've done everything well. Now you just got to work on being different. So right now, you're different. You're solving a unique problem, and you have a unique solution. Okay, which big check mark there. But how unique is it? Like how much better could you make it? Like how different could you be? So these are the things I'm telling you that you could stick out from a normal guy in Oakville who uses a plow truck, or a direct competitor who uses a tractor with an inverted blower. Like you gotta start innovating, start improving your service, start providing more value to the customer, and be a different business. So bring in the ice melt if that's something that's high in demand. If it's not, double down on the shoveling. If people want good scrape quality, invest into getting the right cutting edges. And that's just from the experience standpoint. There's other things too you could back up with, like having the text alerts, live GPS map. Like there's so many things you could do having an application. Like, I mean, I could go on and on and on. It could really never end for a customer experience and providing more value in your business. You could always get better every year, even if it's 1%. But in these earlier stages, it's not just 1%. Like every year you should be improving your service like through the moon, man, like over the moon. Like you should be trying to go as hard as you can without overspending as well. So make sure you're conscious of that.
Well, and then at the same time, Stefano, like I'm looking at the numbers of like your men, your tractors, and we're only able to do like 60 houses on a route. And then
that's where I started.
Revenue.
That's where I started. 60 houses on a route, 50, 60 houses. Yeah, that's perfect. You should be driving half the time. You should be blowing half the time and driving half the time. And then once you really scale it up, then you'll be blowing all the time. You're literally just basically shuffling from house to house at that point. You don't even drive.
Yeah. So it's just getting past this standstill until the routes get dense enough. But
yeah, man. I think that you got to find what the customers want though. So I don't know, how much do you think there's a starving crowd for snow removal in Oakville for residential, for snow blowing, I should say, because you're not doing removal?
How would you quantify it? Like
no, I'm asking like
street?
No, I'm just asking like how much of a demand do you think it is?
I would say it's I don't know, like out of 10 houses, there's probably 3 of them that hire snow removal.
That's great. That's really good. Jesus Christ, that's like here. That's awesome. Yeah, and I know they can because they got the money down there, especially too. So number one, that's a huge box check. Do you listen to customers? What do they want? Is there anything they look for at all? Like, do they want shoveling? Do they want a clean scrape?
Shoveling's like we shovel everyone. That's non-negotiable.
And there you go. So
quicker service, obviously.
So okay, so quicker service, you're gonna nail that right away with having the software. You're gonna nail that with having the right tractor with the right blower, and you're gonna nail that with the right operator. And then as for the shoveling, you're gonna nail that by having a shovel fabricated to the back of each one of your tractors. And if this works for you, I haven't tried this ever, but I think it's a decent idea just from a cost standpoint, because it's so expensive to like pay a guy in a truck separately to go and do shoveling when like there's a piece of equipment that has already brought in a human to that property. He might as well do the driveway and shovel at the same time. So how that would look is he pulls up to the property, he gets out, grabs a shovel, pushes all the snow from the walkway into the driveway, pushes all the snow from the garage door in front of the garage door into the driveway, and then he cleans it with the blower. It goes on to his next house. If you really need to provide shoveling in your marketplace, because it's going to be every single house, I'd probably do it different. I'd actually probably do it with guys in a truck if it becomes that dense, because it wouldn't make sense for the guy to leave the machine. But if you were like, say you offer it as an optional service and maybe 25% of your customers take shoveling and 75 don't, I would do it with the shovel on the back of the tractor. It'll save you a lot of money. There's no profit in offering shoveling service if you're going to pay a whole separate guy to drive a whole separate truck and drive from house to house to do shoveling. There's no money in it unless you're charging through the roof.
And then my thought was how, like on the other side of that, having your tractors working as much as possible, having those blower augers running as much as possible throughout the night, and then using equipment that's already paid for through your summer services, like a truck, to be able to send another crew out. And then also, like, I just struggled to wrap my head around this piece of equipment that is only working for half of the year.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
The business makes enough money for your equipment to sit all summer, but you got to buy the right equipment. So I think that like if my whole fleet was John Deere 6110Ms, which is a very expensive, large piece of equipment, Not only would I have some pissed off customers because it's too big, some would argue, but I think it's a little bit too big for residential snow. Um, we would also basically put all our money into equipment and have no profit left over. That's why it's really important to pick the right equipment, because you could really easily overspend on equipment and then have no profit left in this business because it's going to sit all summer. Unless, like some smart people, like my friends from Capital, they run all John Deere 6110Ms, 9,000 driveways, 8,000 driveways they do. They have like 80 tractors, all big 6 series, and they rent them out to farmers in the summer. But I don't have that luxury here being in the Rocky North. Like, I don't have a lot of farmland around me. So it'd be very difficult for me to do that. So that's why I buy the small machines. The small machines are like a third of the price, half the price. They're very efficient, in my opinion, too, especially once you get the scale. And that's how you could endure having those pieces of equipment over the summer, making payments on them without them providing revenue for you. Also, another thing to get at too is like, if you're using these in the summer, putting hours on them, beating the shit out of them, they're not going to last as long as you need them to in the snow removal business as well. You're going to be putting more money into maintenance, more money into mechanical stuff, etc. Where it's like, we actually put 200 to 300, 400 hours at most a season on these pieces of equipment. They sit in nice, beautiful undercoat. We take the batteries out, put them back in, take them for a little drive every 2 weeks, keep all the gear and axles and everything moving nicely. And they just sit and they're ours. They don't get rented out. We don't beat the shit out of them doing anything else. They just blow snow. You're not going to be able to accomplish doing this unless you pick the right piece of equipment that you could afford to pay for over the summer.
And so I like at the point we're at with still growing and being so small, saying no to commercials has been hard for me. What is your suggestions with that?
It's the hardest thing ever.
Like it's the same thing though. You can provide all this value and only attract sure it's cutthroat, but you can only attract the really good commercials or the guys who are willing to pay for your service.
That's a decision you need to make, brother. I'm being straight up with you. You got to kind of, if you want to be really good at one thing, you got to choose one or the other. I mean, like there's guys who are successful with doing commercial, man, there is, and they're successful doing residential, but it took them like 22 or 23 years to scale up their business. And for all I know, it might look good from the outside, but internally it might just be a big unorganized fucking mess. So I truly believe, like, and I could prove it myself, if you just do one thing and you put your heart and soul into it and you beat it to a pulp and you learn everything about that one thing, you're going to be able to scale it, know it, have a grip on it, be confident in it. And it just helps a lot. Commercial's a different business, dude. That's why I said, like, from the beginning, you found the right market, but now you gotta niche it down. Like, you gotta just pick one thing, in my opinion, if you want to go all in with it. So you got to choose one or the other. And I know there's money in commercial. I know there's money in plowing, salting, sanding, all that sort of stuff. I know you probably got the trucks you already purchased for it, but listen, it's the cold hard truth. It's one or the other. I'm not saying you can't be successful at both, but you'll never be like,
I agree.
The one thing, like, say for example, me and you were in the same marketplace. We had the same like skill set. We were like the same people, if you will, twins, fuck it. Same brain, same everything. Okay. If I was just doing residential snow and you were doing residential snow and commercial, in the long term, I would fucking kill you. That's just how it would go. And that's just how it works, right? Like,
and I agree. I'm just struggling to find the passion and not so much the passion of like what we're going to do and stick to and say no to the other bullshit. And I can relate when you talk about the summer where you're kind of bouncing around and, figuring out what it is. Like, I feel the exact same way with the other side of things. And my thought this year was like our ideal client for hardscape work and construction is residential. So tap into those people and, that was really the only why.
I like, knowing people like myself and seeing other people in the industry do so successful with residential and, it becoming now a really, really hot business to be in because the aging population's going up. Like I said, people are becoming lazier and the aging population's going up. Like, you're killing two birds with one stone being in this market. That's the gold in it, right? So I think that you choosing residential snow is in your best interest and you should go all into that and nothing else. Commercial is very competitive. And I think that there's big money in there as well, but it's like, there's like there's just big fish and small fish. That's kind of usually how it goes in there. And the big fish eats everything up, gets all the good work, and then the small fish just eat onto all the little things. Like you're able to come into residential snow and just make it your own thing and completely blow it up in whatever way you want. You have that ability. And there's nobody really in Oakville right now with the model that you're going to be bringing there. So like you'd be dumb to not get commercial snow out of your brain, out of your head, get the fuck away from it, go all into residential, learn everything about residential, beat it to a fucking pulp, and then blow it up. That's what you got to do, man. I'd be 1/3 of the size if I did commercial at the same time as this business. And I would know half of what I know about this business if I did commercial at the same time.
You guys, like, we went out 3 times, dude.
Yeah, I know. That's difficult.
But
that's difficult.
The year before, we only went out 5 times, whereas you guys went out 40. And my thing, like commercial, it's required with these plazas, these businesses. You need a snow company. But these, like, sure, there's the aging population going up, but people are seeing like, well, shit, the last 2 winters were bad.
That's a problem. That's a problem. See, like that's with choosing the right market. That's why it's a huge box you need to check off. I don't think that you're in a bad market. I think that now hearing that the demand is going to be a little bit more difficult, but hearing that 3 in 10 homeowners still buy snow removal, that's why you need to sell it as a contract-based model, flat rate, try and take care as much as you can around their house. And I think you'll get a lot of people to sign up that way. I don't know entirely what the approach would be, but just try and go all in with it and test it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to fail in 2-3 fucking years. You're going to be 22, 23, 24 years old. Who gives a fuck? Go all into one thing, whether you choose commercial or residential, beat it to a pulp. Don't give up. Give it 5 years at the very least. Put your heart and soul into it and take it from there.
Awesome. I'd love to hear, I don't know how the hell we're going to edit this, but a standard that like you hold your whole company to be as disciplined and as like fired up every time you guys go out, like that's required to maintain your level of service and quality.
Oh, dude. Okay. So first and foremost, guys come in, a big thing if you want to keep humans happy, food. Number one, like food. I think that's number one. So we have vending machines inside our garage when we're waiting to go out, which is nice. Guys could do that, go and pay for an energy drink or candy or whatever they want, chips before they go out. So having food's awesome. Number two, having like the white glove treatment. I'm talking about my business. Okay. That's what I'm going to talk about here. For my operators, having them come in and their tablets turned on, ready to go, and their tractor's already warmed up. Like, all we do is go sit your ass in that thing and work for 10, 12 hours. That's what really, really works well for us. Okay. Making sure managers and like myself, big smile on my face. I'm joking around with guys. I got the cameras out. Whatever, maybe some music might be playing. Like, you just got to keep it positive, keep it happy. Don't keep it so like just I was gonna say Nazi style, but that's not a good thing to say. But just don't keep it like that. Don't run your business so strict like that. Loosen up a little bit. This is 2024, man. Okay, this isn't 1980s, 1970s, 1960s. Like, this is a different time. Okay, you got to be loose with guys. You got to be understanding. You got to carry the right energy forward. You got to be able to hear them, listen to them, and just be a positive guy and bend a little bit for them. Okay. They're humans. They got emotions. They need to be heard and talked to. And I think that if you're not always so hardcore and pushy on them, you'll get people to do what you need them to do for the company. If you're not lenient, but you gotta have the balance. Okay. I spoke about this earlier. Just have that balance. So creating the good culture, man. Food, lots of food, smiles on everybody's faces, joking around, get the cameras out, put people on the spot, take some funny videos, and just show passion in your company. Like, have the managers, everybody in apparel, everybody branded up, wear that brand on the side of your arm, wear that brand on your chest, be proud of the company you work for and you've built, and spread that energy on top of other people as well. So just like take pride too. That's another big thing. Like, don't be coming in to operations and, you know, you're like wearing like, I don't know, like you got your Gucci trench coat on and then all your guys are in Visi vests. Like, if you're going to be involved and you're going to be in the guts of the business, you got to be the leader. Okay. Everybody's got to follow the leader. So wear the right gear and just have everybody look up to you, not look down. That's for sure.
It's all contagious.
Yeah, man, exactly. It's really easy, to be honest. It's not difficult. It's like it's a lot of common sense stuff, right? But people just don't do that.
Awesome. Awesome. Listen, let's wrap this show up. I appreciate it, Stefano. That was that was an awesome chat.
Dude, I wish we would have done
Where
this in person. In person would have been awesome because I really love Oakville.
I know it's a little bit of a hike between us.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll be up there soon again. I'm coming down actually next weekend, but I'm staying in Toronto. I make it up there quite a bit, so we'll definitely do another one. Next one we'll save for in person, and I'd love to come see you face to face. There's a beautiful restaurant I went to down in your hometown. I think it's called Joey's. Is it called Joey's?
Yeah.
Dude, what a restaurant! That's a big passion of mine. Is going out.
Hit it again. Let me know when you're down here, and leave people like where can they find you? Where does all your magic happen? You're everywhere it seems, but like where can you find what you guys have going on?
Oh, another huge passion. All the magic can be found, of course, on YouTube. I have so many videos of us vlogging, going out for snow events. I've filmed every single snow event that my company has endured. In the last 2 years, I haven't missed one episode. So if you ever want to watch our vlog style videos of our snow events, I have from 1 to 20 this year, and then from 1 to 28 last year. I am missing a couple that were like really, really, really light snowfalls that we went out for, and I said, I'm not filming this. This is just like embarrassing. So there's like 2 missing from each season. But if you want to watch my vlog style videos, go check me out. YouTube, I got tons on there. I got, you know, videos pertaining to this business model and certain things I could help you guys out with to be able to get into this business and grow yours. I got some podcasts, not too much personal stuff on there. I'm going to break into you know, who I am, what I like to do soon, but just kind of breaking the ice with the business aspect. And then if you want to, you know, see some shorts and whatnot like that, like reels and stuff, you can check me out on Instagram, Stefano Narducci, YouTube, Stefano Narducci, TikTok, Stefano Narducci, and then Facebook as well.
Awesome, brother.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
again.
Man. Charlie, appreciate you, bro. Thank you.